I've now been daily driving Linux for 2 months, and in this video I'll share my experiences, the positives and the negatives, what my plan is going forward, and what I've learned since the last update video. So 2 months ago I tried Linux for the first time ever. I set up Linux Mint on this 21-inch 2011 iMac with the goal of creating a practical workstation for my living room, separate from my setup in the bedroom, and turning it into a distraction-free, focus-oriented space dedicated purely to work. And honestly, it's been fantastic, although I have faced a series of challenges that I'll address shortly. Of course, since then, Linux has also grown into a major theme on this channel. Some of these projects have been purely for fun and experimentation, like the HP Mini, that I keep pushing although it probably deserves to be put to rest, and the 2009 MacBook Pro that I probably won't use much as I have better system. Nonetheless, it's still fun to see how far a modern distro can take it. It might even be useful for some of my dear viewers who might have older systems lying around. More serious is my endeavor of installing and using Linux on my 13-inch MacBook Pro that I currently have Fedora GNOME on, my iMac, and my 11-inch MacBook Air that I'll try out Fedora XFCE on shortly. Now, in my last video, I shared my motivation for switching, basically answering this question. But why go with Linux and not newer Mac OSs via OpenCore Legacy Patcher or Windows 10 or 11? My answer was threefold. And I won't spend much time on it here, as you can just watch the previous video, but I boiled it down to these 3 reasons. 1. Big tech practices. Microsoft and Apple raise a lot of privacy concerns, especially with how much data they collect through telemetry. Windows is also full of ads, bloat, and pushes you towards using Microsoft services. I don't think Apple is as bad in this regard. 2. Keeping older hardware alive. So, planned obsolescence is real. Windows 11's requirements, the end of Windows 10 support, and Apple dropping Intel Macs after Tahoe all show it. But a lot of these obsolete machines still work great. My channel is proof of that, hopefully. 3. Linux is fun. This is a serious motivation for me. I genuinely like messing around with different distros and picking up a few things along the way. Even though I face a lot of small challenges, I find it extremely helpful to seek out advice and help on my Discord, different fora, and of course the official documentation. If none of these solve my problem, I use AI to troubleshoot, although I'm very conscious of the environmental impact of AI, so I use it sparsely. Okay, I think a quick overview of my projects is relevant before we talk about the bigger challenges. All of these will get dedicated videos in the future. So, I'm currently trying out OpenSUSE Tumbleweed with the KDE desktop environment on my 2012 15-inch MacBook Pro. Installing it was rather straightforward. Well, except for the fact that I needed to install the proprietary graphics driver, as it has an older Mac Edition NVIDIA GPU. This was kind of a hassle, but I got it working. The plan is to do some creative work on it, editing videos and thumbnails, trying out different open source alternatives. Specifically, I want to try out Kdenlive, Krita and GIMP. I'm very excited to see how well 16 gigs of RAM and an i7 processor will handle those tasks. Second, and this is a major change, I'm replacing my 2011 iMac with a 27-inch one from 2013. Which I picked up for just over $50. Right now it's running Sequoia, as my girlfriend also uses it, but I have it dual booting Kubuntu, and I'm liking it so far. I'll explain my distro choice in its own video, but basically it was one of the distros that supported the necessary NVIDIA driver, although I must say I like KDE a lot. As already mentioned, the 11-inch MacBook will get Fedora XFCE installed soon, and I'm working on a video trying out TinyCore Linux on the HP Mini. As for the gaming PC, I haven't done much with it since the CashieOS video. I don't really game that often, so it's not a particularly big priority for me. That said, I do want it to work properly, and I have noted all of your great tips and recommendations to use when I return to it. As for the lot of MacBooks that I now have, I'm not sure what to do with them. Maybe I'll try to refurbish and sell some of them. maybe I'll give some away to you. But they are also just nice to have around for experimenting and trying out things for the channel. Okay, let's talk about the general challenges that I faced. 1. Audio. So, except for my gaming PC, I pretty much use Macs exclusively, and unfortunately on nearly all of them, the audio just plain sucks after installing Linux. Bluetooth works flawlessly, and I do use my AirPods a lot. But it's still unfortunate, especially for the iMacs, because the good speakers are really a core feature of their design. I've tried messing around with equalizers and switching to pipewire, but I still can't get the audio to be as good as on macOS. 2. Nvidia is the bane of my existence. Okay, there might be a bit of hyperbole in that statement, but it has definitely been the main challenge of the last month. Most of my Macs use Nvidia GPUs that require a specific Nvidia 470 driver, which most distros simply don't support, except for OpenSUSE and older versions of Mint and Ubuntu. The open source drivers do work somewhat. I mean, I can use the systems. I can watch videos and I can do office work, but when I have to screen record, for example, it just doesn't work. On my gaming PC, I can't get the right drivers. Yet, as many of you have also noted, using Nvidia on Linux is just kinda bad as compared to AMD. 3. OneDrive. So while it's not exactly a formal requirement, in practice I have to use OneDrive both at my university and at work. A lot of you have recommended using Arclone and InSync, which I have yet to try out. So far I've used OneDrive in a browser, or when I'm at home I just use local send. 4. Apple-only software. Even though I'm experimenting with Kden Live, I still use Final Cut to edit most of my videos. It's a software that I've been using since I uploaded my first video, and I just feel really comfortable using it. Still, I do want to switch to an open source alternative eventually. This leads me to my final and perhaps biggest challenge, my M2 MacBook Air. This computer is my stable and consistent workhorse. Although I almost exclusively use my Linux systems for university and work, I edit all my videos on the M2 as I mentioned before. Basically, none of my older systems can compare with the M2 processor. The M2 is also the system that I turn to when Linux fails, which it does sometimes. I just need that 100% guaranteed stability for my professional life. That said, I do want to try and install Linux on it, on an external drive of course. The thing is just, nothing must go wrong. I think I'm right in saying that Asahi Linux is really my only option. If you have any experience with it, I'm very curious to hear. Okay, so this is turning into a longer video, but before I say my goodbyes, I want to quickly go over the things that I've learned. 1. Learning Linux is a process. It takes time, it can be extremely frustrating, but there's almost always a solution to the problem that I'm facing. I just have to find it. This brings me to my second point. Try to avoid burnout. So I've had many nights where I spent hours scouring the internet for solutions to my problem. My lesson to myself here is this: chill. Don't expect to solve your problems in one go. Linux is fun but challenging, and that's how it should be. Don't let it turn into miserable and challenging. Finally, asking for help and seeking out advice is also part of the process. I know there are certain stereotypes about Linux users, but I've only encountered helpful and genuinely nice people. That's awesome. So I've already mentioned some of the near future projects, but here are 3 more that I'm working on. I'm very curious to hear what you think. 1. Making my first server. Yeah, that's it. Making my first server. I've watched a few YouTube videos about it. It seems challenging, but also approachable. 2. Trying to switch to open source apps exclusively. I'm already using a handful of Fuzz apps, but I want to challenge myself to use only Fuzz apps. Finally, I'm currently writing a script for a video called Linux: A Beginner's Perspective. My idea is to make a very approachable and easy to understand guide and roadmap for Linux beginners, building from my own limited experiences. Obviously, I'm not an expert and expert advice is great. But I myself very much enjoy to hear from fellow beginners, listen to their experiences. If that's something you'd be interested in, please let me know. Okay, that's really all I have for this video. Thanks to those of you who made it to the end. And thanks for the support, and thanks for watching. By the way, I do read all comments and try to reply to most as well. But if you really want to get in touch with me, consider joining the Foci community Discord. There you can also talk to other members of our small growing community. We have a really chill and cozy vibe in there. Also, a huge thanks to Zeus and the other channel members. Your support means a whole lot. You too can become a member of the channel, if it's financially responsible of you, of course. Right now there are 2 tiers with different perks, but in addition to these, all channel members will also be invited to join a VIP channel on the Discord. Okay, final note, I promise. I want to play with open cards here, so to speak. The recent support and popularity of the channel means that I can spend more time making content and spend less time at my work besides uni. I love this. So, thanks again for watching, commenting, and just engaging with my videos and me. Okay, bye.